Hello, it's Heidi Fisher here with the Social Enterprise Online Festival, and today I'm joined by Monica Douglas-Clark, who's going to be talking to us about authentic leadership. So, Monica, could you first of all tell us a little bit about your background and experience, please?
Sure. Hi, Heidi. My name is Monica Douglas-Clark, and essentially I'm here because I'm on a mission to inspire 800 million, that's a lot of people, right? People to create space to be more authentic, abundance, and make a difference in the world. So what I'm wanting to talk about today is how, as individuals, we make a difference, and as social entrepreneurs and leaders of social enterprises, we have a real opportunity to make an impact, not only for our communities and our particular social cause, but for our loved ones, our peers, our teachers and mentors, and the wider world around us. Now, my background has been in various sectors. So I've started in international development, and I was out in South Africa 2 years after transition, and that's when I really got a sense of how important it is for people to step up and to do work and run businesses that will have a social impact. So I was out in KwaZulu-Natal working with women who wanted to get into the political system, who were setting up their own small social enterprise many years ago. And although I moved into more local government and government after that, I always took that ethos of whatever we do having a social impact. I moved through local government and then came to my own, running my own business alongside being a policymaker. And someone who is really passionate about equalities and diversity and how we can reach people that are hard to reach in society. In my own business, I worked in holistic therapies and yoga, and this is where I came to pull together not only the concept of what we do as being important, but who we are and how we navigate our individual lives and look after ourselves so that we can make the best impact that we can with the legacy that we leave. And I do that now. I do that by working with individual leaders and owners of businesses. I do that with the businesses that I run. So I run a business with my husband, which we are moving more and more into making into a social enterprise. I also run the space for nurturing yoga. I'm a busy woman, Heidi. Space for nurturing yoga and the nurturing journey, where I take people who are really committed to making a difference with their lives through a process which helps them to restore their purpose and get clear on their lasting legacy. So that's my background.
So there's a lot in there. So today we're focusing on talking about how to be an authentic leader, or and having authentic leadership. Now, my first question to you has to be, what on earth do you mean by authentic leadership?
Okay, cool. So let's take the authenticity piece. So if we define authenticity, it's about being an undisputed original. And I love this because if you think about the gifts that we bring to our organisations, and particularly in social enterprises, is that we are bringing often something very unique that is meeting a particular need. And the reason why I'm talking about authenticity, that quality of being original and unique and bringing our fullness to the business that we run, is because in order to lead, in order to hold and create and move through a vision for this organisation, we need to make sure that we're being our authentic self as much as we can, that we're bringing our true gifts into the arena. Not only those things that might be considered as usual, so our skill set, our knowledge, the experience that we've had from work, but who are we as individuals and how can we show up fully? So that's what I mean by authentic leadership, bringing our full self into our leadership role, making sure that we we respond from a place of truth and integrity.
Okay. It sounds quite simple when you put it out like that, just bringing your true self into your leadership role. But how would you do that practically? Okay. What does it look like in real life rather than as a strap line?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the interesting thing, it's not something I've just come up with. This is something that's studied in business schools all around the world. So if we look at what Forbes and the Harvard Business Review say about authentic leadership, they say that there are clear business benefits of actually bringing our full self into our enterprises. So let me make sure I don't miss anything. So what they're saying is, when we as leaders are confident about what our qualities are, what our vision is for our business, what our purpose is for running our enterprise in the first place, then it gives clear business benefits. So it says that it encourages us, for ourselves as leaders, and for our employees and for our customers, to be more engaged. So if you think about some of the leaders that you think, okay, they're actually really making an impact, I would say, I don't know who let's think of some examples.
Nelson Mandela, he always stands out for me as well.
Nelson Mandela always stands out, right? So by him really embodying his strength, his character, and holding a clear vision for what could happen after transition, let's use that as an example. He was coming up with some bold and innovative ideas like no other country had 11 official languages. So to hold a vision for, in this transition, we're going to recognize everybody as equals. We're going to recognize that although some languages are spoke more than others, every language has a status that is equal. That's kind of innovative. It's groundbreaking. It's galvanizing, so everyone can feel as though they're part of it. So that's one of the benefits of authentic leadership, is that there's increased engagement. You've pulled in everybody into that vision. Another business benefit would be connection. So by, again, recognizing the individual gifts in yourself and in others, it creates a bridge of connection and communication, because we're respecting what's important and what's really valuable about the individual. We've already talked a bit about innovation, which is the next business benefit of authenticity. Yes, by bringing different aspects of ourselves into our enterprise, then we are likely to be more innovative. We're not going to be looking at, oh, this is the way that it's always been done. We're looking at, okay, this is a problem. How can we resolve this problem using a different methodology? So, for example, in our business here, we have adopted the 4 agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz as part of our value strategy. So we're, this is from a personal development tradition, and to bring it into our organisation is quite an innovative thing to do. And that's because I know that it's an important aspect of who I am, and I want to bring that into our work. And the other 2 business benefits that come up are about increased retention. So people feel as though they're bought in to the organisation, and as a leader, it's our role to bring people in. It increases retention. People stay for longer, and we don't have to do so much recruitment. It's going to save time, help you to build up the skills and the knowledge in your enterprise. And the final one is profitability. So yes, we're running an enterprise after all. So one of the benefits of being an authentic leader is that we're looking at how can we run this enterprise in a way that enables us to be profitable and ethical and authentic to our vision.
Okay, fantastic. So 5 really important areas to look at there. Should we be trying to make everyone authentic rather than just the leaders?
Sure, but you know the principles of leadership theory is what we embody at the top, or when we're in the leadership position, we can then encourage others to step into too. If we're and we're not talking about we're not talking about, okay, I'm going to share everything and there's going to be no boundaries. We still need boundaries, we still need professionalism, and we are encouraging people to open up to possibilities where some of the qualities and the gifts that they have are equally valuable and important in our enterprises and organisations. So yes, it's not just the leaders, but by us stepping into our authenticity, then we can encourage others to be the same.
Is it an easy thing to do? Could I just decide today that I want to be authentic and be it, or is it a long journey? And how do people see it? Okay. Is it a bit like you look a bit fake when you first start doing it because you've never done it before?
I think it'd be really useful for me to go through the qualities that somebody who's expressing authentic leadership might show. That might help define it.
Yeah, because the fake it till you make it might not work.
That's not going to work. No. So there are 5 qualities of authentic leaders. First one is understanding their purpose. So we talked before we had this interview a little bit about what most people think about when they think of authentic leadership is purpose and clarity about purpose. Now, it's not a simple thing for us to really understand why we're here. The purpose piece, some people say that's one thing. I think that it's an evolving process. So that we might create a social enterprise because we're really passionate about a particular issue. Say for me, I might start the space for nurturing yoga because I'm really passionate about creating space for people to understand that there's a connection between our body and our mind and our heart. And when we do that, we're in a more relaxed, receptive and open space, and we can make better decisions. But that might be a passion for the next 3 years while that's developing and that's growing. But then something else might come up that I feel really passionate about and that I really want to connect with. So, for example, what's happened recently in the Caribbean with the hurricanes, is like, how can I set up something in Barbados or one of the other islands that I'm really passionate about that's going to help people recover after a hurricane?
Okay.
So it moves and grows. And the thing that I think is really important about reconnecting to our purpose is that we have a regular review. We have support from someone who can hold the space that enables us to see actually what's important to me right now. Where does my focus need to be?
Okay, that sounds a bit like me. I'm usually changing my purpose every 5 years.
Yeah, it develops, and if you look back, you can see how things have changed. So it's going to be the same going forward. That's okay. And I think the most important thing about it is that we feel as though this is the right thing in this moment and are open to it changing over time.
Okay.
The second quality is being self-aware and operating from solid values. Now, this idea of self-awareness, the first part was you asked me, is this easy? Now, being self-aware isn't necessarily easy. We may have the intention to be so, but none of us can see our blind spot. And this is why it's really important to have mentorships and coaches so they can hold up a mirror and say, okay, you say that you're really committed to this particular value. You say that you're really committed to operating this particular way. But when you come and you describe what you're doing, it doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily match. Are you aware of that? Oh,
no.
No,
not at all.
Exactly. So when we commit to becoming more self-aware, it's likely there are going to be moments where we think, "Ooh, I didn't know that, and I wasn't aware that I was doing that." It's useful to have the intention to open up to being more aware of our own quirks, our own habits, our own ways of being that we don't know, because then once we know, we can change. And the next quality is of recognizing emotional intelligence. So in our current culture, we operate often from a situation where we recognize academic intelligence, but not necessarily emotional intelligence, and also coming on stream is spiritual intelligence. So it's recognizing that we all hold qualities. Emotional intelligence is particularly useful for leaders because we're dealing with people all the time. We're trying to encourage people to see our vision, to work towards the goals that we're setting, and to embody the values that we want within our organizations. If we haven't got emotional intelligence where we can recognize, actually, is that working? Then we're not going to be able to bring people with us. So authentic leaders are able to bring people with them because they recognize multiple intelligences. And then another quality that you might recognize in an authentic leader is that they are really good at building connected relationships. They're also really clear if something's not working and are able to talk through difficulties and problems. So it's not shying away from the difficulties that happen when we're running an enterprise. We're running a social enterprise in particular. Often various conflicts and issues arise. So as an authentic leader, we really need to step into the place where we're willing to tackle them, and we're willing to listen and to open up so that people can go, okay, this isn't working, or this is working, this isn't working. How do we move through this to get to where we want to? And the last thing, which is sometimes a bit of a stretch for people, is demonstrating self-discipline and reflection. Now, there's a whole movement for mindfulness at the moment, particularly out there in the business world. And I don't know how much of that is also seeping into social enterprise, but there's a real encouragement for us to do more work on ourselves in personal development so that we are able to, as I've said before, follow our own personal codes of conduct to recognize where things aren't right in the enterprise that we're running and shift them, and know where we're embodying the qualities that we want and where we're not. I would wholeheartedly recommend that people look at this idea of demonstrating self-discipline and reflection.
So it actually sounds quite challenging.
Yes.
So when someone's thinking about setting up their social enterprise, should they be immediately looking at how they can develop and become an authentic leader, or is it something that comes a little bit later on once they've started their business? Or do you see them as running parallel, and how do you manage developing yourself as a leader whilst also developing your social enterprise?
Okay, I see them running in parallel, Heidi, and I think the benefit of looking at how authentic we are, not only as leaders but as individuals, helps us to form our businesses and our social enterprise in a way that actually will resonate with who we are. You're going to have less conflict if you're starting your social enterprise from a place of, this is who I am now, this is how I want to operate, this is how I want to run this enterprise, this is how I want to operate as an employer, this is how I want to set the values and the structure and the operating principles of this social enterprise. If you're clear about who you are and what you bring, then you can do that work a lot more smoothly and in a more efficient and effective way than if you're really just all over the place. So I would encourage people to come back to themselves always first, because if you are in a space of clarity and balance, then you're likely to create a social enterprise that operates from that place too.
Okay. So for you personally, have you always been an authentic leader, or is it something that that's happened more recently where you've recognized that you weren't being that and you wanted to be? Or to just depict you and quiz you.
Please do. I think it's a really important thing. So this is an ever-evolving process, and there was a time where I spent a lot of my energy meeting other people's expectations and actually not being very authentic in my work place. So hiding parts of myself, pretending to be somebody who I wasn't, because that's what was expected. That's why I became an entrepreneur in the first place, right? Because it's easier in that respect, because I know who I am, I can be who I am, I can form this enterprise in a way that is in complete alignment with who I am. Then I bring my full energy, my full attention, and my full passion into what I'm doing. So I recognize, and from the people that I've worked with over the years, that there are many people who are in a situation where they are pretending, and that they're fearful actually of bringing some of their experience, some of their skills, some of their thoughts, beliefs and values into the organizations that they run. As a leader, we have an opportunity. It's a bit of, it can be a little challenging. It can be feel quite exposing and vulnerable. So you have to do it in a way and at a pace that feels right for you. But when you do, it really frees you up to really operate from a place of integrity.
If you do go through that process of becoming more authentic, is it likely that you're going to have some of your staff or employees want to leave because it doesn't suit them for you to be more authentic?
It's an interesting question. I feel that organizations operate based on people. And I feel that it is better. So as a leader, you still need to hold, as I say, you need to hold the boundaries, you need to be professional, you need to know the art of revealing and concealing at the right time. But it's better for people to know where they stand. It's better for people to know the premises and the principles that an organization runs from than for that to be somehow lacking in integrity, or somehow there's a conflict. Like, people will feel that there's an undercurrent and they'll either be comfortable with it or they won't. At least if there's clarity, people can know what they're coming to. They can make a choice about whether that fits with them. If it resonates with them, they're going to be more engaged, more committed, on board with what you're doing, and you're going to be able to lead the organization forward. So some people may leave if you are really clear about what your values are in your social enterprise and it doesn't resonate with them, but that's going to be better for them and it's going to be better for you. And it means you're going to be able to attract the people who really want to be in your organization, that resonate with the values and the principles and the vision that you're going to set out.
Sounds like it's a good thing if they don't agree and they leave then.
Well, in the long run.
Yeah. It's okay. So if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, oh, I'd love to do that, but I'm not perhaps doing that at the moment, in terms of I'm not sharing my uniqueness and my authenticity completely because I'm a little bit scared of what reaction I may get, what would you suggest to them?
Okay, is this the time for my 3 tips, or just
you can do your 3 tips? Yeah.
Well, I suppose in the work that I do with people, I take them through a process where They restore purpose and get clear on what their passions are. They nurture their energy and vitality and their relationships. So it's like looking at what's going on here. They get really clear on their own personal code of conduct and the aligned action that they need to take from that place. And then to recognize what is present, what abundance is there right now, what is existing that really works for them, and then to get clear on what their lasting legacy is. So that's the overall process. And you can start where you are. And this is where I'm going to talk about the 3 tips. My first tip for people would be to get clear on what they'd like their lasting legacy to be. And I have a thing called a living will, and we're sitting at the center as individuals, and it's like, what would I like my legacy to be for me? And then we come out and we look at, what would I like the legacy to be for my loved ones? And that might be your family, your friends, your parents, whatever that is for you, your children. And then we work on, what would I like my lasting legacy to be for my peers, my teachers, and my mentors? Those people who are working alongside me or who have supported me to this point. And then we look at the community. And for many social entrepreneurs, they're really clear about what their community impact is, but they may not have looked at their teachers, their peers, their mentors, and often, weirdly, not the loved ones.
Yeah.
So we're building in a more holistic view of what this legacy might be. And then finally, the wider world. By you being who you are and doing what you do, what's the impact that you want to leave? And this is the first piece. And usually when we do this, it can create a real compelling call to action. Actually, I really need to do this, because it's not just for me, it's not just for this small group of people. This is potentially very big. And that's just by being who I am, not even before I've done what I needed to do. So that would be the first thing, get clear on your living legacy. The second thing would be to look at your own personal code of conduct. And this comes out of this. It's like, how do I want to operate in the world? What are my core values? What are the things that I am really committed to? What are the things that are deal breakers, that if this is present in the space, I can't say yes to? And when you've got that level of clarity about your own personal code of conduct, then you are more likely to be able to take aligned action steps where you're working towards allowing your vision to come into place, and to do that in a way that has integrity. And the final piece is nurture your vitality and your energy. Now, as much as we want to work all those hours and we want to get our vision met and our businesses thriving, unless we're looking after our physical body, our emotions and our mind, then the pressure of it can all be too much. So I always encourage people to be very clear about looking after their energy, their vitality, making sure they eat well, sleep well, have practices in place for their mind and their health. So I finished with that because, sleep is really important. I finished with that because often as social entrepreneurs, as leaders, as people who are trying to make a difference in the world, we sometimes forget the basics. Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. So that's the thing.
Yeah. Any final thoughts that you want to add to what you said?
Final thoughts would be, get support.
Okay.
Be supported, be in a network of people who are also doing this work, who can inspire you, who can hold a mirror for you, who can encourage you when the times get hard to keep going.
So basically surround yourself with other authentic leaders.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Some of that magic will rub off on you, and you'll all become more and more authentic until you're like at the top of the pyramids. Yeah. Okay.
We've got work to do, haven't we, Heidi? So that's, you know, that's why we hang out, encourage each other to make our difference in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you so much, Monica. That was really interesting. I found it really enjoyable. If anyone wants to get in touch with Monica to find out more about authentic leadership or any of the things that she's talked about in the interview today, her contact details will be below the interview, so you're more than welcome to do that. And I'd just like to say thank you, Monica, for joining us. It's been lovely having you on here and having an interview with you. So,
thank you very much, Heidi.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.